the second straight day, Singapore records 0 COVID-19 cases in the community, but infections continue to rise worldwide.
As locals collect their new reusable masks this week and next, one commonly asked question is, how long should I use my reusable mask? Well, we'll have the answer to that and more.
F&B outlets caught flouting safe management measures. 3 are ordered to shut and 4 others fined.
It's 5:30 p.m. here in Singapore. You're watching The Big Story. Now coming to you live from the Straits Times newsroom, I'm Haryanto Diman.
And I'm Olivia Quay. You can, of course, subscribe to the Straits Times channel so you never miss a single episode.
We begin with an update on the COVID-19 situation here. There are 0 community cases among the 21 new infections confirmed today. It's the 7th time this month that no community cases were reported, but there was one imported case. In the past 7 days, there have been a total of 24 imported cases here. Dr Leong Hoe Nam joins us now to talk about imported cases.
Now, Dr Leong is an infectious diseases specialist at the Rofi Clinic at Mount Elizabeth Novena. So, Dr Leong, we have unilateral travel arrangements with New Zealand and Brunei, plus green lanes with countries like Malaysia, Japan and parts of China as well. At the same time, our imported and community cases have remained low. So, is it time to further relax our restrictions for outbound travel as well as for visitors and returning residents, you think?
I think we should consider that. Number one, the countries would actually look at how we receive their guests and how they receive their countrymen, and then in turn they'll do the reciprocal and how they receive ours. And if you look at some of the countries from Taiwan to even Hong Kong as well as Thailand, Taiwan has very few or no cases for several weeks. The same for Hong Kong, numbers have come down, Thailand numbers are very, very few. I think these are countries which you can actually work with in collaboration, where you can open up for freer travel from one place to another.
Now, given the resurgence in other parts of the world, are Singapore's imported cases our next weak link, especially as we open up to travellers?
Absolutely. So the travel will be an issue as if people come into Singapore, they in turn can actually spread the infection again. Hence, people who come in from countries with active transmission should actually have a test done before coming over and thereafter screen again at immigration and screen again at the end of the stay home notice. However, in countries where there's no active transmission, where there are very, very few cases, we can consider having them come in freely to Singapore. But again, all this is under the purview of the Ministry of Health.
Right. Well, thank you, Dr. Leong. But we have more questions for you, so do stay on the line.
Right, so let's move on. You can now start collecting your 2 reusable masks from the Stay Mask vending machines if you haven't already done so.
The 4th nationwide mask distribution exercise will last until October 4th. Now, while reusable masks are a useful and sustainable alternative to disposable masks, they should be washed regularly and replaced after a recommended period of time.
Well, here are some things to note. When washing the masks, use a gentle soap and lukewarm water solution. Don't use antiseptic detergent or bleach.
The masks may be soaked in water for a longer period of time to wash off stains from cosmetics, but it's not advisable to use makeup remover as it may affect the protective qualities of the masks.
Washing of the masks should be done after each day of use for up to 30 times. While the masks still remain usable after that, their antimicrobial effectiveness and filtration are less effective. The effectiveness could drop between 10 and 15%.
Let's welcome back Dr. Leong Hoe Nam, an infectious diseases specialist at the Rofi Clinic. Dr. Leong, what do you make of those homemade masks which don't have microbial coating? Should we even use these masks?
They can be used, but we have to put in perspective. Again, the best is still the disposable surgical mask. If not, use the one that's provided by the government. They have tested through the bacterial filtration efficiency, which is very similar to the virus filtration efficiency. If you're out of them and you can't get them, then use your own homemade mask. What will I do if I'm using my homemade mask? Feel the consistency. Again, the thicker it is, the better. Apply onto the face and see how the air moves in and out. it should be able to move in freely, and you can feel that there's some filtration and there's some lag to it. This tells you that there's some filtration. As you apply it on and put the ear loops across, make sure that when you breathe in and out, the air is not coming in from the sides. Agreed, homemade masks will never be as good as the surgical mask which you have, but it is the next best thing if you can't afford the government mask, or you finished your government mask.
Right. Well, Dr. Leong, what are some of the most common mistakes when it comes to caring for and handling our masks?
You touch on something which I am really upset with many people. You see, the mask is only as good as how you use it to be. My biggest beef with it is that people will wear a mask like this, either with a surgical mask or with their own homemade mask or the government release mask, and they will not cover the nose. Okay, with my big nose, you can see that you can breathe in and out air that's unfiltered, and in turn, you're going to breathe in the bacteria, you're going to breathe in the viruses, and you're going to breathe in COVID-19. So please cover your nose. Okay, covering below is not good enough. Then number two, as you apply it to the back, I'm just skip the tying part, but make sure the bottom of your chin is covered as well. Unfortunately, for some of the masks, as you speak, you actually pull the mask down at the same time. So be very careful. Number three, you need to secure it quite well at the back so that it doesn't fall off. Number four, many people forget to press the metal piece down and hold it down. With the metal piece, it helps to hold it down well and good. So, and I do have some disappointment with people who use a valve which is attached to the side. When you use valves like this, it doesn't help the people around you. When you speak, when you cough, viruses will come out through the valve. In turn, it can spread to the rest of the people. You're not doing your part to help the nation to fight COVID-19.
Right. Well, Dr. Leong, I have a follow-up question for that. You know, especially when I'm eating, I remove my mask. So where is the best place to put it? I put it in my pocket sometimes, I put it in my bag, but where is the best place to, still ensure hygiene is kept for the mask?
Good question. You can get something, what you call a mask fold, which you actually put the mask inside, fold it on itself, and then you can put it inside your pocket. That will keep the hygiene clean. That means all your gunk, which is kept by the mask, kept inside. It folds on itself. The second way is to actually use a piece of bag, maybe plastic, which is sealable. You put it inside, seal it, okay, put it inside your handbag in turn, and you'll be fine. I will not. I will refrain from throwing the mask right into the handbag or into a carrier bag, because you could have lots of gunk, lots of dirt inside, and the next time when you apply it on, you're going to have that breathing right into your nose.
Right. Well, good points as always, Dr. Leong, and of course, always a pleasure to speak with you as well. We've been speaking to infectious diseases specialist, Dr. Leong Hoe Nam.
Now, adding to what Dr. Leong has mentioned, Olivia, when it comes to masks, two things stand out: whether they fit properly on the face and are easy enough to breathe in.
That's right. Well, the Straits Times' correspondent John Lui explains how he tested 10 reusable masks for safety and comfort.
Hi, I'm John, and this is how I'll be testing all these washable, reusable masks. The first test we'll do is the water absorbency test. I'll take amount of water in the dropper, drop it on the mask. The more absorbent the mask is, the more comfortable it is to wear. With this test, I take air from the air compressor, set at a very gentle power, and I test it by putting a mask over it and see at what distance the candle will be extinguished. So with this mask, the fabric pita mask, the water clearly permeates through the fabric and comes out the other side. With this NextCare 3M mask, I can pump and pump and the water does not. As you can see, the inside is wet, but the outside is still dry.
Now, how did the masks perform in John's test? Which ones were the safest and most comfortable? Well, here's what he found.
Number 6, bandana was actually the most breathable but also the leakiest, and the Ministry of Health has recommended against its use. John felt that the 3M mask, which costs $14.50, is over-engineered as an item for daily use. Soft masks like number 4, the Uniqlo Arism, were comfortable to wear but have layers that make breathing difficult.
Thin, stylish coverings like number 2, the Ice Silk Mask, and number 7, the Acme Top Pita Mask were poor liquid barriers. Well, in the end, John's top picks were the free masks issued to Singapore residents. Those are numbers 5 and 8, and he said they offer the best compromise between protection and comfort.
Also making headlines in Singapore, infectious diseases experts say there is no need to ban imports from companies whose frozen food products have been contaminated with COVID-19. This is because the risk of transmission from a food source is very low compared with the usual routes of infection. Even so, people involved in food preparation should observe strict personal hygiene and ensure that surfaces and utensils are cleaned properly. The issue has come under the spotlight in recent days after China announced that it had found traces of the coronavirus on the packaging of frozen squid from Russia and frozen fish from Indonesia.
The Ministry of Sustainability and the Environment said today that 3 F&B outlets have been ordered to close for 10 days, while 4 others have been fined $1,000 each for flouting safe management measures. The outlets were caught for breaches like having customers consume alcohol after 10:30 p.m. in the premise, allowing gatherings of more than 5 people, and sitting groups of customers less than 1 meter apart.
Well, separately, 2 British nationals who flouted safe distancing measures during the circuit breaker period by gathering with others in Robertson Quay were fined today. Both appeared in court to face one charge of breaching circuit breaker measures each. One was fined $8,500 while the other was fined $8,000. Court documents didn't state if they are on work passes.
Meanwhile, Tesla posted fresh job ads for roles based in Singapore, signaling the electric vehicle maker is preparing to set up shop here, which it has so far skirted. According to job postings on LinkedIn, the firm is looking for senior developers here, but didn't disclose how many people are sought. Tesla's chief executive Elon Musk had previously criticized Singapore for not being supportive of electric vehicles.
And a state coroner has concluded that the death of a man who was restrained by members of the public near Little India MRT station last year was due to a natural disease process. In an inquiry into Andrew Ho Chi Ming's death, the state coroner added that following an autopsy, he was found to have died from hypothyroid cardiomyopathy. The doctor who conducted the autopsy also felt that the stress of running while being chased and Mr. Ho's subsequent restraint contributed to his death. He had been chased and immobilized first by 3 men and then by 2 more after he was spotted trying to take upskirt pictures of a woman. When it comes to money and investing, you should be wary of anyone who says they can teach you to become rich instantly.
If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah.
And yet we often hear stories of people getting duped.
That's right. Well, a must-read piece in last weekend's The Sunday Times raises the question, can someone teach you to become rich instantly? The article by Invest editor Tan Ooi Boon looks at the types of tricks commonly used to get you to part with your money.
Ooi Boon joins us now. Hi, Ooi Boon. Thank you so much for taking some time to speak with us. Ooi Boon, tell us, what was the impetus of writing this piece?
Hi, thanks for having me. I mean, like many readers, you probably have noticed many of these ads surfacing in the social media channel. Each time, these people tout various ways that seems very easy for people to make money. Now, ask yourself, why are they doing this? Perhaps they know that the times are bad and that people are desperate to look for ways to make money. Well, if you have a good business model that can help people, that's fine. But to me, many of these people end up making empty promises that they can help people to make money in the easiest possible way. And the way to learn this is to sign up for their free webinar. And of course, know that there's no free lunch in this world. Why would they put up ads to offer free webinars? If they indeed have a good plan, why not work with SG United and other government agencies and offer these free courses for everyone? The answer is they don't do that because it is not free. After the initial free webinar, they will probably hope that you pay them more money to learn what they have to teach you, and that's not free.
Right, well, good points there, Ooi Boon. So among the examples you listed in your piece were investing in property and starting an e-commerce business from home. So are these two areas considered the most accessible, so to speak, of get-rich-quick schemes?
Well, frankly, if they have something useful to teach that can help people, great. But in my view, just because they're trying to pass on something as real doesn't make it really real. For instance, property. Everybody knows that times are bad now. Property is a huge commitment. According to statistics from MAS, already 34,000 families to date have problems paying for their mortgage. And now you are coming out with a scheme to ask people to buy property and hope that you make money from rent. Really? Just because you say that this actually works doesn't mean that things will pan out this way. Now, ask yourself, who's going to pay you the rent? If in case you forgot, government has to step in a few months back to offer 4 months of rental waiver for tenants who cannot, commercial tenants who cannot pay for the rent. Where are you going to get the money to buy the property in the first place? What I find out was that they are asking you to raise money from relatives and friends. So it means that you're risking money that don't even belong to you, and you're buying property by using money that you borrow from others. Ask yourself what's going to happen if things go wrong.
Right.
As for the e-commerce thing, well, they're teaching you to source for good and cheap products and then sell it to other people via popular e-commerce sites like Amazon. Maybe you can make a few sales, but would you make a lot of money from it? I doubt. So ask yourself again this question. When was the last time you bought things before you compare prices? And what makes you think that your intended customer are so naive that they will buy from you at your inflated price? If you wouldn't do it yourself, what makes you think others will?
Ooi Boon, having said all that, then what's your advice for the everyday man, for like Olivia, myself, to not fall prey to these schemes or ads for these schemes?
Well, the point is, if you want to try this, you don't have to pay thousands of dollars to learn it. You can do it DIY and do it for free. I mean, you just search the YouTube videos, and I'm sure that there are many people who are very eager to teach you things for free. If you ask me, there's no shortcut to hard work. If you are currently an employee now, maybe it's a good time to learn new skills and ask your boss to give you more opportunities to become more roles so that you can improve your chance of getting a promotion. If you're doing business, there's one very easy way to increase sales, and that is to improve customer service. How do you do that? Let me give you an example which I personally just experienced last weekend. Last weekend, on Saturday night, I placed an order for a few bottles of wine. It was a Saturday night, and I did that because I was free, I was bored at home. But imagine to my surprise, yesterday morning at about 10 a.m. on Monday, the wine came to my door. The delivery man just came within a day after I placed an order. That to me is great service, and I will certainly buy from this vendor time and again because they really gave me very good service in such a quick time. So that to me is a more reasonable and practical way to make money. Give good service to your customer.
All right, good points raised there. Ooi Boon, thank you so much for joining us today. That was the Sunday Times' Invest editor, Tan Ooi Boon.
In the global headlines, Hong Kong Disneyland will reopen this Friday to a reduced number of visitors and limited days. The latest wave of COVID-19 infections forced it to close for a second time in mid-July. All guests will be required to wear face masks, and the park will be closed on Tuesdays and Thursdays initially. Indoor live performances will also be suspended. Disneyland's reopening comes even as Hong Kong extends virus-related social distancing measures for another week.
Main hospitals in the Indonesian capital of Jakarta have reported full occupancy, with some having a waiting list of up to 20 confirmed COVID-19 patients seeking treatment. To ease the pressure on the hospitals, the government is making more rooms available at Jakarta's Wisma Atlet, an athlete's residence converted into a hospital for patients with mild symptoms. The government is also set to tap 3-star hotels in Jakarta as centralized quarantine centers for asymptomatic patients.
According to people familiar with the matter, US President Donald Trump is moving towards Judge Amy Coney Barrett to replace the late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg on the Supreme Court. Ms. Barrett is a favorite of anti-abortion rights advocates who are heavily lobbying the White House and Mr. Trump to nominate her. She is also preferred by Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell.
Ellen DeGeneres opened the 18th season of her talk show yesterday by addressing allegations of the toxic workplace culture under her watch. It was the first time she publicly addressed controversy surrounding her. If you recall, BuzzFeed News had published a report detailing a culture of fear among her employees that included accusations of sexual misconduct, racism, and intimidation from the show's management.
As you may have heard, this summer there were allegations of a toxic work environment at our show, and then there was an investigation. I learned that things happened here that never should have happened. I take that very seriously, and I want to say I am so sorry to the people who were affected. I know that I'm in a position of privilege and power, and I realize that with that comes responsibility, and I take responsibility for what happens at my show. We have had a lot of conversations over the last few weeks about the show, our workplace, and what we want for the future. We have made the necessary changes, and today we are starting a new chapter.
Well, those are our top stories for today. For more news and videos, visit straitstimes.com and subscribe to our YouTube channel by hitting the red button below.
Once again, I'm Haryanto Diman with Olivia Quay. Join us tomorrow for more stories on A Big Story.